The idea of taking care of each other is best exemplified with something we call in the improvisation community yes-anding. Yes-anding is the foundation of improvisation, because what it means is you give me an idea, no matter what it is, no matter what I think of it, I'm going to embrace it and say yes and build on your idea, give you something. And when I give you my idea, built off of your original idea, you say yes to that idea, no matter what, and build on that. And together we create something wonderful. So it's very often the tendency to just shut down or make judgments right in the moment. It's not helpful for anyone. This works for improvisers, and it works for you in the workplace too. This way you get all the ideas out there on the table. There's time to evaluate what's better and what's not as good later on. Get all those ideas out there, because something you say may be not a great idea, but it'll inspire me into some other direction that you would have never thought of. And the way we can illustrate this for you best is maybe by making up a story together. You and I will make up a story together. Don't worry, I'll do all the heavy lifting. All I want you to do is to say yes to me no matter what I say. Literally, out loud, after everything I say, you say yes. And just like Linda talked about earlier, make it really enthusiastic. You can physicalize it, whatever you want, but out loud, say yes after everything that I say. And we'll see what happens. You ready?
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Are you ready?
Yes.
That's the enthusiasm I'm looking for. Okay, so everybody, you want to make up a story together?
Yes.
Yes.
Should it be a Western story?
Yes.
Is the story about a sheriff who some of the townsfolk say is getting too old to do his job?
Yes.
And is the mayor in the sheriff's office getting ready to fire him?
Yes.
Yes.
But at that point, does one of the townsfolk rush into the office?
Yes.
Yes.
And does that guy say, "Sheriff, you gotta come quick. Bad guy Bart is wreaking all sorts of havoc over at the saloon"?
Yes.
Yes.
And does the sheriff say, "Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, but there's something I gotta get done"?
Yes.
Yes.
So does the sheriff hop on his horse and race over to the saloon with the mayor right behind him?
Yes.
Yes.
And when he gets to the saloon, does he beat up bad guy Bart and toss him out of town?
Yes.
Yes.
And does the mayor say, "I do hereby proclaim that this here sheriff will remain sheriff of this here town for the rest of his days"?
Yes.
Yes.
And do the townsfolk cheer, and do they all live happily ever after?
Yes.
Yes.
See, wasn't that great? Because you said yes to all my ideas, whether they were good or bad, we created a nice story together. Now, in the interest of fairness, equal time, let's do it again. We'll do a different story. And this time, after everything I say, I want you to say no. Just as enthusiastically as you said yes, this time, whatever I say, you say no. And we'll see how it goes. All right? Here we go. Hey, you want to make up a story together?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, then we got nothing. Okay.
All right. So, to further demonstrate the effectiveness of yes and, the three of us are going to improvise a story with your help. So what I'd like you to do right now is, in your chat box, write a made-up title. Make up a title for our made-up story, which we're going to create together. Just write it out now, and I'll take the first one that I see. Let's see what we got here. Okay. All right, so I see, great, I see heavenly bodies. That's the first one I saw. Heavenly bodies will be our title to our improvised story. So with heavenly bodies being the title, we bring you to a story.
Jack was a lonely guy. He didn't have any friends. He was kind of nerdy, you know? He was scrawny and not very well liked by a lot of people, but he wanted to change
things around. So every weekend, he decided he was going to work out. He'd run and he'd run and he'd run some more. After he was running, he'd start to do push-ups and sit-ups.
And every other kind of exercise that he saw in his marine exercise book. And one day, it actually paid off. As he was toweling off, a young woman walked by
him and said, "Hi, I haven't seen you here before." And Jack was very nervous. He wasn't very good at talking to girls.
Because he hadn't had much experience with them. Yes, I have been here before, but it's been a little while, and I don't come here all the time.
But I am here today. Well, she laughed and she said, well, I have a flyer for a fashion show that I happen to be in. I mean, I'm new at this, but if you feel like coming, please do. Well, he
said, wow, that's great. I'd love to. I would definitely love to. I'll take it. And he took it and off she went. Jack was in the best mood of his
life. And he got ready. The day of the fashion show, he dressed up real spiffy and he went down to the place where it was happening. And there before him, there they were.
The most beautiful women he had ever seen in his lives, and some of the most handsome men he had ever seen walking down that runway. But none could compare to her as she entered the room.
And when she did, he couldn't blink. He couldn't take his eyes off her even for a nanosecond. He was smitten. The best thing he ever did, he said to himself, was to start
working out. And she looked at him too. It was magical. And then at that moment, lightning struck the room and
suddenly the lights went out. Fires erupted all around the room.
And he could hear her calling off, help, help, help. So Jack
just crawled to where she was, reached her hand, but it was too late for
reaching hands. He dove even further, grabbed her by the shoulders, and started pulling her away from the flames as they surrounded
her body. He then picked her up. He struggled a little, but his push-ups were really paying off now, and he carried
her out of the room. And she looked up at him, charred clothing which was falling off of her, and she said, now I know what it means to be a heavenly body. Okay, so that was our made-up story with your help. And as you can see, that story couldn't have even begun without us first listening to each other, effectively listening, so we hear what the other person is saying, and then yes-anding it, which means accepting other people's ideas and then building on top of it. This can work in any workplace where you want to increase productivity, creative output, teamwork, and just overall positive feelings among coworkers.